say you're not involved. Don't try to convince yourself that these problems don't affect you at all. Because now it's Lebanon, Azania, Grenada. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and watch your children go off to war. Don't stand back and wait for this violence to come to your door. Because now it's Chile, Guatemala, El Salvador. How many more? Tell me now. How
Peace and love. Welcome to the NEPPC podcast, which is actually the U.S. Political Prisoners and You. That's the name of the show. Well, it's conducted by the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. The Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition is a grassroots organization that was started. Well, one of the founders is Sekou Odinga, former political prisoner, did over 33 years in prison. One of the charges that he was convicted of, or rather he had, was the liberation of Assata Shakur. And speaking of Assata Shakur, we like to say happy birthday to Assata Shakur, 78 years old. Assata Shakur remains in Cuba, given political asylum. That is a very important part of our liberation struggle. It's a reminder of how far we need to go for our self-determination, to protect our self-determination. And every time we celebrate Assata, we celebrate the possibilities that we have when we are willing to go to those extremes for our liberation, because our oppressor remains vicious, and the tactics will not let up unless we put up a resistance. Today, I'm accompanied with my brother in struggle, in the struggle for our freedom, my brother Tariq. Welcome, my brother.
Peace, Frank. Peace, audience. I am Tyreek. I am a Black Panther. I'm a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in various American death camps as a prisoner of war. And happy birthday, Assata Shakur.
Thank you for coming on. Today's episode, we focus on our beloved brother, political prisoner, Kenny Zulu Whitmore. He's currently doing an extended time. He's doing life, all right? But, he is a possibility that he can come home, but that has to be by us, an organized effort. I was learning more about him. I learned about him before, but it's like, we get tied up on names like Mumia Abu Jamal, names like Joy Powell, names like Imam Jamil Al-Amin. But, there's other political prisoners, such as Kenny Zulu Whitmore. So we have to relearn him. We have to bring his name to our people. We got to let our people know that, they need to reach out to him and write to him. So he was one of the letters that I attempted to send out, right? This one is Fred Muhammad Burton. It was sent back to me. This one is Kenny Zulu Whitmore, and it was sent back to me. I used the address that was presented on the website. So I have to follow up with that. I have somebody that's going to help me get another address, or find a way in which I can relay my concerns to him. If you haven't done any research on him, or you are not familiar with him, he was in solitary confinement for 37 years, and he was only released because of legal action done by his lawyer. At one point, they tried to charge him with rape and a robbery, also with the killing of an ex-mayor. All these things that he did not do. But, when you are under the prosecution of state power, then the state can say and do anything they would want. So in my research, I seen how they tortured him into a confession. They that even people that said that he were not involved in the robbery and not involved in the rape, they discredited those people. They completely ignored those statements, and it was everything was less or was up into the judge's hand, to the state's hand, to convict him. So it's a very unfortunate situation, and it's a situation we have to ask, why is this brother still in prison after over 50 years, and what we need to do about it. Please bear with me. Today I had to make an adjustment with doing the podcast. I had to do it out in the community because of a mix up with the schedule, but the show must go on. You know, we are professional revolutionaries. We become creative in the situations where we are forced to be creative. Brother Tariq?
Yes, brother Kenny. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was saying I was giving you the opportunity to speak.
Yes, brother Kenny Zulu deserves our support. He deserves our respect. Obviously, he's a good example of humanity, and our enemies are persons who don't like to see positive characteristics in us, and that's why I think they are piling time after time of sentences on him to discourage people from looking at him and to discourage people from attempting to be like him. But I'm sure Brother Kenny Zulu Whitmore deserves to be emulated, and I'm sure that he is a very good brother. You know.
Yeah, so that's why we want you to check out the website, learn more about this brother, teach the youth about him. You know, this is summertime, and this is we're out with the family. The weather is beautiful. You know, we need to have something that expresses our interest in our political prisoners. You know, this allows me to um, come up with something that's going to say Kenny Zulu Whitmore, and ask people to raise questions. Because, for instance, the other day I had my shirt on that says "Free Kamal Siddiqui," and somebody asked me, somebody made a comment on the shirt. They said, you know, that's a very nice shirt, and then I let the person know who I was and what work that I was involved in. Exchanged the contact, and this person was actually a criminal justice student. So that allows you to have access to different people that are involved in different things just by you expressing that idea on your clothing. I think that's very important, because now when we get to engage in these conversations, we have another person that can put the idea out there on political prisoners. I know that we made contacts at the International African Arts Festival, so now I'm in the process of formulating those contacts so that I can let those individuals know about people like Kenny Zulu Whitmore. Upon reading his story, you know, it doesn't seem like he's bitter. It doesn't seem like he has any resentment for anything. He's always smiling in the pictures. So that allows me to understand the power that he has in terms of building himself up internally. But we cannot ignore him. We have to do our part and reach out to him and his supporters and let him know that, you know, his story is being told, that we're encouraging others to learn about him, to write him, right? Even if the letters get sent back, you know, now you know what else you need to do. That's why I'm always providing my information, 347-679-3936, so we can work together, so we could get information to him about what we need to do where we're at. I'm currently in the area of Brooklyn, but I have access to places in Queens, because that's where I do my community work, is in Queens. So those places have resources where people can meet up and people can advocate for political prisoners, because that's what I use that area for. Uh, Brother, when you think about Zulu and you think about his resistance and endurance, you know, how can you relate that to people who are dealing with a number of issues in the community regarding, you know, ethnic cleansing in the form of gentrification, police brutality, um, police terrorism, rather, and also, you know, the lack of resources that our schools have, because all of this undermines our self-determination. And brothers like Kenny Zulu Whitmore was the example of a professional revolutionary, example of standing on principle.
That's right, brother. Brother Kenny Zulu is a very important figure, and they know that. The enemy knows how important Kenny Zulu is, and the people who are seeing him, they are going in the right direction. They are seeing Kenny Zulu. They're asking about him, and that is to go in the right direction because that is indicative of beginning to study our situation, and they want to hold Brother Kenny Zulu is a good example of humanity and hold him and torture him to dissuade people from going in the direction of learning about our situation. They want people to think of our situation and then run away from it. When in fact, the solution to our situation, the solution to ending our torture and our brutality is to learn that we are a very important component in the scheme of things, and that's why they don't want us to learn about that. For instance, we buy more. Uh, the enemy see black people as a separate nation, and as a separate nation, we buy more products from America than China does, and our people don't know our importance, but the enemy knows our importance, and that's why they want to throw dirt on Brother Kenny Zulu to communicate to our people that black lives really don't matter, when in fact, black lives are very essential. And speaking of gentrification, they know how important it is in us being in 26 major cities. We are a critical component. And what I mean by saying critical component, we are a significant number of persons in 26 major cities. And so that whatever we do, especially in those 26 major cities, can determine the course of America. And the enemy knows that. And that's why they pull brothers like Kenny Zulu in, a popular brother who people know him and know that he's a Black Panther, and pull him in and subject him to all sorts of torture to dissuade people from learning about our situation. And when we learn about our situation, we would know that they intend to use gentrification to get us out of these 26 major cities without firing a shot, without alerting Black people to know how significant they are. And that is what is going on. And Zulu is a critical component of that. Gentrification is another component of their strategy. Throwing dirt on Zulu and piling time on Zulu is a critical component of their strategy in terms of uh, us learning about our power. They don't want us to know how powerful we are. If we develop a Black consciousness and know how powerful we are, and if we move out of position, America will go down. All we got to do is take a day off, just learn about that we are African people, we are a separate nation, and that we are powerful, and we are the advanced person for the rest of the colored world, for real. And if we learn this, we'll know of our importance, and this is what they don't want us to know about. So that, Brother Zulu, know that you are important, and I'm very happy that you are holding up under the weight, and that's very good, brother. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure Brother Zulu know a comrade of mine who left me in Terry Hut prison and moved down to Angola, and I know he knows Brother Zulu.
Wow, I appreciate you, shouting him out and breaking down, what the attack actually is. The particular methods in which the state uses to undermine our ability to advance in terms of protecting our self-determination and controlling our own destiny. That example of Zulu standing strong under his circumstances lets us know that it's something that we have to stand on. We have to stand up for ourselves. We have to be willing to make those immense sacrifices that our political prisoners and our martyrs have done. And if we're serious about our liberation, because our liberation is an idea, is a concept that we've been fighting for a very long time. And we have to fight for it because, if we love ourselves and we love our people and we love our children, then, there's nothing else that's going to be a strong expression than to actually make sure that we have as much control of our destiny as possible. I want to take a step back and I want to talk about the 37 years of solitary confinement that the brother has, and the fact that, advocates of the abolitionist movement, those who want to get rid of prison altogether, advocates of just social justice, period. They should be particularly involved in this campaign to free our brother Zulu, because 37 years of solitary confinement is torture. It's inhumane. And I know that there is a human rights committee that deals with extensive time in solitary confinement that is deeply concerned about that. And his case was actually brought to them when I did my research. And I think that those who are advocates for the destruction, the removal of prisons, need to really get involved in Zulu's situation, because it's needed to be done to let us know that this shouldn't be ignored. It should be dealt with. It should be addressed by people who have various skills in various fields to get the masses concerned about this, aware. Because if we are supposed to be in a quote unquote civil society, then how is it that it's okay to have somebody in solitary confinement for almost 4 decades? That should be inhumane, which it is. And that should be, we should be outraged as a people, as taxpayers, right? Because when we look at the prison, right, the prison is financed by our tax dollars, and you have probation officers, you have the parole board, that they're being paid by taxpayers. And if you want to protect the community should have input into the decision that's being made by the parole board. Brother, you was about to say something? I'm sorry, I got a little excited.
Yeah, no, that's all right, Big Frank. The way they treated you by them having returned your letter is how they are able to keep the brother locked up. And the most important thing they want to is that they want to convince the brother, convince Zulu that no one is concerned about his case. And Zulu don't know that you have attempted to write him, but I'm a prisoner, a former prisoner of war. So I know that they attempted the same thing with me to try to communicate to me that no one was concerned about me, and no one was concerned enough about me to write me. They wanted to convince me of that. And as it turned out, a brother who cleaned out, when I was in jail, a brother who cleaned out the warden's office said that the warden, he brought the mail to me. He brought, the warden had a trash can full of my mail. He had mail in his locker, the police locker situation. And the brother took all of that, a trash can full of mail, and the mail he had in the locker, and brought it to me. And then I communicated to my lawyer what that situation was, and we addressed that situation. But the thing that they were trying to do, the most important thing, was to convince me that no one sided with me on the positions that I had taken, and that was not the case. So Brother Zulu, once you get in touch, it's important that you somehow figure a way out to get in touch with him, and that's why they were able to keep him in for the 37 years, because people who've been writing him, who've been hearing about him, I'm sure the people in solitary confinement, when they went home, they told people about Brother Zulu, and people attempted to get in touch with him. And like they sent your letter back, they also sent the other people's letters back to convince Zulu to depress him, to make him think that no one is concerned about him. And obviously seeing the smile on Brother Zulu's face is indicative of him not having been depressed by them keeping him isolated like that. And that's what we all have to do. We all have to know that like Brother Zulu, he's a good person, and other people love him for being a good person and for the sacrifices he is making to save our lives and to stop the enemies from torturing and killing us. And that's why he joined the Black Panther Party. So that's important. And it's important that Zulu keep maintaining, because he's going to ultimately learn that more people have been concerned about him and have been showing it, but the enemy has been blocking these efforts on the part of other good people. So that's what's going on.
Absolutely. So we have to keep pushing. We have to keep inspiring others to write him, because sometimes people don't realize how powerful the written word is. When you write something, that's a historical record. So now you write something, and the prisoner uh, is reading it and understanding that somebody took time to write this letter to me, and I'm going to take time to write them back. And you build your own relationship. I know I had that experience with Jalil Abdul Mutakim. He wrote me. I wrote him back. I let him know the ideas that I had. He was impressed by some of the ideas. I had my son at the time write him, and he wrote my son back. I remember writing Matulu Shakur, and he wrote back. I know I wrote Dave Gilbert. I wrote him, and he wrote me back. And I got to understand, what our political prisoners was going through. And I also wrote Imam Jamil El Amin, and he wrote me back. And that allowed me to take the work more seriously, because now the individual became a lot closer to me. Now I've got to understand that I had to take my work to an advanced level and let others know that, they are political prisoners. We need to know who they are. We need to see how we can help them, because my idea around political work is that if you are a person living in Queens, you can deal with people in Queens around political prisoner. If you live in Brooklyn, you can deal with people in that community around political prisoners. If we all do something wherever we at, then now we start to influence the decisions of the parole board, and we start to influence the decisions of the elected officials in terms of what position they're going to take. Because these politicians, they want our vote, but now they have to listen to our voice. They have to hear our concerns. And our concerns should be, we want the freedom of our political prisoners. What's your position on political prisoners? I know with one political prisoner, I seen somebody who was a judge, and I asked them, what are your position on political prisoners? She said, well, I have none because I'm a judge, but I'm a person of color. And for that candidate, for a judge to say that, then obviously she understood what people of color are dealing with. As I did more research on Zulu, I see that he was experiencing COINTELPRO. They looked at his past, and he had a clean record, because his first conviction was his only conviction, right? So he didn't have no prior criminal record or anything like that. But prior to them sentencing him, they fabricated his records, and they made it seem like he was always involved in the system. So now they hit him with this ridiculous number, this life sentence. And, that lets you know the viciousness of the state and how COINTELPRO operates, and that how our political prisoners need to be protected in terms of their image to the community. The community needs to know who they are. We need to advocate for them. We need to do things in the spirit of political prisoners. So when I'm in certain areas doing things, I represent the spirit of political prisoners. What you was about to say, brother? I'm sorry.
I'm glad you mentioned the people that you mentioned and the experiences, because I've had those experiences also. Brother Zulu is the people love him the way they love Asada, because they are sacrificing much. Brother Zulu and Sister Asada, they didn't pursue college careers. They didn't get jobs or get condominiums and all like that, and to buy expensive clothes. They devoted their effort to preventing our enemies from killing us, from torturing us, from exploiting us, and from training us from the time that we open our eyes in America. Anybody living in America, they are being subjected to a training process from the time that they open their eyes. And everyone knows that Zulu has made a significant contribution, and he has sacrificed much to see that we are fed and to see that we are protected. And that's why people love him. And even though they don't say that, once they learn that he's a Black Panther and they learn of the struggles and sacrifices he's making, they will love him, and the same way they love Asada. And I want to thank his parents. His parents played a particularly important role in making Zulu the way he is. To they played a role in terms of Asada's life, not messing her up, and by her not being messed up, and by Brother Zulu not being messed up, they were inclined to become Black Panthers. So I want to thank their parents for not yelling at them, for not beating them, for not sending them to bed with no food, and that's what inclined them to think of themselves as intelligent and think of themselves as courageous and have the courage to join the Black Panther Party and in Asada's case, have the courage to also go on and join the Black Liberation Army. And I want to say that the people working for the government, the ones who are in these tanks for the American government, the ones who are in these airplanes for the American government, the ones who are suited and booted, we see them with all these guns and long guns and vests on and all that sort of stuff. Their parents treated them very badly, convinced them that they're cowards, and convinced them that they're stupid, and that's why they are in these planes to show that they are intelligent. But in the process of showing that they're intelligent, they're going to kill people to show that they are intelligent. That's what we're dealing with. And these people in these tanks are showing that they are courageous. These people who are suited and booted, their mother and father repeatedly scared the hell out of them, and they thought of themselves as cowards, and they need the opportunity to show themselves and show other people that they are not cowards, and that's why they need a warfare situation. And so that in the war that we are in, the main battlefield is in the apartment of the people. And the main soldiers, even though people don't know it, the main and most important soldiers are parents, and parents and their dealings with their children is the most important thing. People say, well, how are we going to win? We don't have tanks, we don't have airplanes. What we need is for a mother and father to realize that these people in these tanks and these airplanes and the ones that are suited and booted, they were treated wrong. And that's why they are saddled with negative conclusions about themselves. So that parents, and I call myself a parent for the community, I want to apologize to my children for yelling at them and for beating them and calling them stupid and saying that everything they do is wrong. And that's why they're in them tanks. So I want our parents, my age and younger, to go to their children and apologize to them for raising them wrong, because the government told us that this is the right way to raise the children. Don't spare the rod, and that's wrong. And that's why we got all these people willing to drop bombs on people who don't have nothing to fight with. And these people riding these tanks up in the people's communities, and these soldiers suited and booted shooting people for no reason, because they were raised wrong and they arrived at the wrong conclusion. And the thing that they need to do is to stop killing people and sit down with themselves and then straighten things out within themselves. Once they go outside of themselves and be killing people, trying to impress people, they're going in the wrong direction. They have to go back in themselves. And that is Brother Zulu and Sister Asada. They don't have to do that because their parents raised them correctly. And so that's why the enemy want to make examples out of them, to try to crush them and convince them that they are wrong, when in fact, Brother Zulu and Sister Asada, they are the right example.
Absolutely. You know, we all need examples to follow as youth, and to guide us in those directions. And I could only imagine how my life would have been if I had the example of people in the Black Panther Party. If I was waking up to that every day, and their breakfast programs, the newspapers, getting that serious one-on-one talk to these comrades, these soldiers for our freedom, being talked to, and just think about the challenges that I had to face with, well, by not having those examples. Although I did have strong, powerful Black examples in my community, but when you talk about politics, it's serious business, right? Politics is life and death. Politics is not entertainment, and we have to be very clear when it comes to that, because a lot of times we allow people who are not very serious about the life and death of people of color, of oppressed people, of exploited people, and they think that it's time to play games with this dialogue. You know, we have to be very serious about who advocates for us and who we co-sign, and we got to make sure that we get what is necessary to advance our people. I say that to let people know that there are people on different levels. There's city councils, there's senators, there's assemblymen and women that we can use to advocate for the freedom of our political prisoners. They could write to the parole board. They could write to the political prisoner. They could learn their story. They can do their part to not let them die in prison. We can't let Kenny, Zulu, Whitmore die in prison. We can't let none of our political prisoners die in prison. We got to remember Assata Shakur, celebrate that victory. continue to say her name, continue to teach our young ladies, our young sisters, who she is, so that they can emulate her image of courage. So that's being
And
said, brother, I appreciate your time. I know the value of it.
I just want to end by saying to our parents, go to your children in the tanks and in the airplanes and apologize and tell them to say to themselves, I am intelligent, I am courageous, and I make good decisions. They want to say that, and this way they don't have to bomb nobody, they don't have to kill anybody. All they have to do is eliminate the wrong conclusions that they arrived at. So I tell the parents to tell the children that to say to themselves, I am intelligent, I am courageous, I made good decisions, and I love myself. So
And
peace out.
I love our
Happy
political
birthday,
prisoners.
Asada, and brother Zulus, hold up. Keep holding on.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, brother Frank. To the people too.
Absolutely.
Never see Indians live proud and free before the oppressor's slavery. Black people live proud and free. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and say you're not involved. Don't try to convince yourself that these problems don't affect you at all. Because now it's Lebanon, Azania, Grenada. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and watch your children